Broadcasting live from the Brooks Robinson Plaza Studios of WOYK. Welcome to Revs Friday Night Live on Sports Radio 1350. Kicking off your baseball weekend early with all the hot topics, interviews, and latest news on York's home team and from around the league. Now, here are your hosts of Revs Friday Night Live, Darrell Henry, Paul Braverman, and Ray Jensen.
Yes, sir. Welcome into our second ever episode of Revs Friday Night Live. Last time was the opening night edition. This time we get to do it with a few games under our belt to discuss. Welcome, everyone, live from our WOYK studios here along Brooks Robinson Plaza. Matter of fact, you can come up to the window, give us a wave or something better or something worse, whatever you want to do, but we're in here inside the window. Darrell Henry along with Paul Braverman, Ray Jensen. Say hi, Ray.
Hi, everyone.
I want to make sure you get in on the show since you have to run over and do your public address announcing duties here shortly.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You'll be on the Santander Stadium mic very soon. And Revs pitching coach Paul Fletcher is in studio with us as well. We will talk at length with Fletch in our second segment. And certainly the Revs pitching staff has been a bright spot here early this season. Paul, it's a lot going on here for our first non-opening night Friday of the year. Matter of fact, it's swim night here at the stadium, and I see we have a water slide out front right outside our studio. A lot going on at the ballpark tonight. Ex-Pogo's here, and a big weekend to bring us back home.
It's a nice first Saturday. We've got some college students graduating this weekend, but they're going to be here tonight if they're graduating tomorrow, and tomorrow if they're graduating tonight, hopefully. So should be a boisterous crowd. But, you know, I think we should apologize for cutting into the Tom Brady watch here on your station, on your syndicated listeners.
Boy, what a shame.
NBC Sports Radio. So I just know the Brady punishment is going to come down when we're on the air here discussing more important things. I mean, 5 o'clock Friday, that's when you dump bad news. Like, that's the PR dumping hour. So it's coming.
That does make total sense.
Warm up Jimmy Garoppolo. That concludes the NFL portion of the program. But I think we need to talk about the history that was made across the river this past week. And it's hard to believe after 9 seasons going up against the Barnstormers, there's a first that the Revs could accomplish. But it was the first ever series sweep at Clipper Magazine Stadium for the Revolution back yesterday in a day game with a 5-2 win, and then the wins on Tuesday and Wednesday night. And surprising because it's not like the Revolution have been bad over there traditionally. The 3-game sweep improved York to 42-39 all time at Lancaster. So when you're better than a 500 team anywhere in any one visiting stadium, that's surprising that it took us this long to win 3 in a row, but we've won 2 or 3 there, quite a few times. So a fun footnote to history. And out to another War of the Roses lead, 5-2. York leads Lancaster in the season series this year, and they already have the distinction of winning back-to-back community cups. The first time it had been won outright in 2 years last season, and it looks like, hopefully we still have 21 more matchups, but it looks like we're on the way again.
Yeah, and we can ask Fletch about, pitching in that ballpark. It's definitely a unique experience.
It stinks, especially if you're a righty. It stinks. Yeah. Left
field's great.
Yeah.
And actually a lot of our offense came to left field in that series. I thought the approach was really good, and, I'm sure at some point this season I'll forget it because we're playing 140 games, but at least for the next week, I'll never forget our BP on Tuesday over there. And, a lot of the talk heading into that series was about the approach and being more patient and shortening up and taking it the other way. And one of the things that this team has done very successfully is implement the short BP, the short toss, to keep the swing short in batting practice and work on, just line driving it up the middle into the opposite field. And they did that in those 3 games. And it was, it took me back to the formula from last year that worked so well. I mean, if this team scores 4 runs, you like their chances. They scored 6, 5, and 5 in the 3 games. They had exactly 9 hits in all 3 games. So they didn't obliterate the ball, but they did enough. And then pitching-wise, it was very good. And in fact, 6 games in a row now, they've held the opposition to 3 runs or fewer. The disappointing thing was that it didn't become a victory at Somerset, but obviously they turned it around. And, I know that I run the risk of sounding cliche, but it's true that early in a season, you're judged on a very small sample size, no matter what you do. So, everybody's looking at the 3-game sweep at Somerset. You want to make judgments about there's Paul's game day radio, get a behind-the-scenes look at our operation. Geez. But that thing's loud. But, you want to pass judgment on the weekend series and label the team as, not being able to hit very well. Well, that's not the case. And, here are the next 3 games, it evened out, and here we are within a game of 500. You could almost see it coming, maybe not winning all 3 in Lancaster, but you knew that given a week, we were going to be singing a different tune.
Yeah, and swings getting long, that's just something that happens to every team and every individual. It's just a habit that comes from, having to go out there every day. And, you have to remember, this team first assembled back on April 10th. So it's like, well, how could bad swing habits or long swings develop the second week of the season? Well, really they had been playing and competing at a level day in and day out for, nearly a month at this point. You have to remember that April 10th is when it really began. It's like, people say, well, why do major leaguers need a day off the second day of the regular season? Well, it's because they've been playing every day since March 5th. You forget about that 6 weeks of spring training before the off day, quote off day, the second day of the season.
They're golden when you can get them.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that can happen early in the season, and as you mentioned, shortening up BP, Mace sitting on the stool, taking his life into his hands, that close to the cage, that stuff can get it turned around quick. People might look at just going out there for batting practice every day is just going through the motions. But, guys are out there working and adjusting, and, it's not just to get loose. Guys are out there working on their game. And, when I was with Butch Hobson, the good managers, and, Mace recognized it right away and then, had a little different approach. The good managers recognized it just like Mace did instantly. I remember Butch used to get on the bus and say, one of 2 things after any streak of 2 or more losses. He'd either get on the bus and say, our relays are hoarse, finish that word, we're taking infield, outfield tomorrow. Or he'd say, our swings are long, and he's like, we're going to have a different BP tomorrow. And then, he would either throw completely erratic BP from the normal distance just to keep guys on their toes, or he would do what Mace did. He'd get on the stool and, make them shorten up swings and get closer to the cage. So, yeah. I mean, people who think, it's easy and, Joe Girardi or anybody else is just filling out a lineup card because he's got a stacked lineup. I mean, it's not that easy. The adjustments get made, and it's a lot more to the job than just deciding who's going to pitch the 7th inning or, who to give a day off when you pick out the lineup card. So I, listened to your pre-games with Mace throughout last week when you guys talked about this stuff. And, I think it's an important reminder just how much hands-on coaching goes into it, even when you have veteran players and AAA and big league guys in this league and you're not in the player development mindset. So
yeah, and also, when you get a chance to spend some time down around the cage, you see the focus that the players have too. I mean, that 45 minutes is their time to fine-tune what they're doing. And then after that, they go into the cage where nobody sees the work they're putting in. But, when you get to see a professional hitter work on his swing and, he knows how it should feel to him, and you see the frustration that he has if it doesn't feel quite right. The guys want to perfect their craft. So, it was an interesting week. We went from Somerset to Lancaster, and as it all shakes out, here we are within a game of 500, Paul, and the team with the best record in the league right now is 2 games over 500, 8-6, 7-5. There's a couple in that category, and I think it goes to to show that the first couple of weeks of this season, everybody's still trying to get acclimated and get it together.
I've always looked at it like this, and I know we don't start our regular season in the beginning of April, but major league, minor league, whatever. There's nothing wrong with 500 baseball in the month of May, as long as you don't have a team playing 600 baseball and you find yourself behind. But that's pretty rare. June is moving day at the Masters. That's the 3rd round of a 4-round tournament in terms of do you have a club? Are you going to put yourself in a position to, make a run at winning a lot of games or not. So, you get through May at 500, a couple games up, a couple games below, you're usually going to be in good shape, and then I think the haves and have-nots separate themselves in June, and then all of a sudden it's the All-Star break, which is more significant in this league than some because we have 2 70-game seasons. So
yeah, and you mentioned that it was a first in Lancaster. It is hard to believe that there's something that we haven't done against those guys yet, or vice versa. And if there's anything else, it probably will happen by the end of this year since we're playing them 28 times. And maybe more. You never know.
Yeah, well, it's that makes a 3-game win streak against Lancaster. The longest Revolution winning streak against the Barnstormers was 7 games between May 2nd and June 20th in 2010. So the Revolution would have to sweep a 4-game series at home, which is the next meeting, June 7th to 10th, to equal their all-time win streak against Lancaster. So
yeah,
thought we'd make that note before the break. So something to look forward to for June 7th to 10th. So
7 of the first 13 games this season were against Lancaster. Now we won't see them for about exactly a month. And tonight we see Southern Maryland for the first time. And actually,
it's a nice road trip coming up, too, after these 4
nice
games.
Road
you got
trip.
Cheesesteaks for 4 days in Camden. You go to Tony Luke's and Jim's on South.
Famous Camden cheesesteaks.
Yep, and then, perhaps the city across the river. So you got cheesesteaks for 4 days in Camden. Then you hop a plane to Texas, where everybody will lose 10 pounds except maybe the broadcaster and the humidity down there.
I'm trying.
And then, there's a lot of good eating options down in the Sugarland Town Square. So
yes. Yeah, and by the end of that road trip, we will have seen everybody but Bridgeport, who we won't see until late June. It's a little bit crazy.
And this would have been a nice year to see them early with the new manager, new players.
But they're playing well. So maybe we dodge them while they're hot. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe so. It's just nice that they didn't bring back the same 6 guys that were the core of them being one of the 2 worst teams in the league 3 years in a row. So,
by the way, we are on Brooks Robinson Plaza. Want to say a special hello to everyone who's listening out there here on Revs Friday Night Live to get your Revs 4-game series and your Revs weekend started. Glad you can tune in and hopefully be entertained and informed while you're making your way into the ballpark this evening. Ray, you're going to be leaving us here, right? You're a producer extraordinaire, and you're going to be on PA tonight, and then back in here with the Revs report later on this evening and helping with the station. But are you about to hop off, I guess?
Yeah, once we hit this first break, I'll be heading over to the production booth to get my PA night started.
All right, a lot going on in the stadium tonight, huh?
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one.
All right. Well, we will head to our first break. We've got Paul Fletcher joining us here in studio, Revs pitching coach, and a lot to discuss. And all good, a lot of good stuff to discuss, the way that this pitching staff is off to their start through 13 games. So stay tuned. We'll continue here on Revs Friday Night Live on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Yeah, that's stupid. You got me all confused now.
Don't worry, we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. I'm Kevin Kugler with This Week in the NCAA on Westwood Walk. History was made last weekend as Oklahoma freshman Paige Parker tied an NCAA record with her 4th perfect game of the season in a 14-0 win over Utah Valley. The game lasted just 5 innings thanks to the Sooners' offense, but Parker was lights out. She struck out 12 of the 15 batters she faced, joining Kyla Hall of Louisiana Lafayette and Audrey West of Boston University as the only pitchers in NCAA history to toss 4 perfect games in a season. Parker's 24th win helped the Sooners improve to 45-7 on the year. After the game, Parker talked about her performance on Sooner Sports TV.
Just trying to go after their hitters as best as I could and, just attacking the zone. And our offense was great behind me. It gave me a lot of confidence on the mound, and it was just overall a great day.
Coming up, we'll tell you about some of the great action still to come in May on This Week in the NCAA.
This is Shaquille O'Neal
and the Shaquettes,
reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
Hey, it's Flo, and this is my impression of a coach giving the ultimate pep talk. Listen, the proper technique is going to Progressive.com so you can see Progressive's direct rate with our competitors' rates, even if we're not the lowest, like we practiced. And remember, no matter what happens, the important thing is to try and save some money out there.
Thanks, Coach.
Man, I love this job.
Compare rates and save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
May is the month of championships for NCAA spring sports. There will be 25 titles handed out in the next 3 weeks. Go to ncaa.com/tickets to find events near you in all 3 divisions for golf, softball, baseball, rowing, outdoor track and field, tennis, and lacrosse. If you're in the Texas area, you could head to Waco as Baylor University plays host to both the men's and women's Division I tennis championships May 15th through the 26th. Also culminating Memorial Day weekend will be the D1 men's and women's lacrosse championships in the Philadelphia area. The women's final will be held May 24th at PPL Park, while the men's final will be played the next day, Memorial Day, at Lincoln Financial Field. You can hear the Westwood One call of the men's semifinals and championship match on many of these same stations. That's this week in the NCAA. I'm Kevin Kugler on Westwood One.
Hi, this is Everett George. You visiting? Yeah.
You said
I didn't practice this one.
you don't want to do that one?
Yeah.
That was our attempt with Everett. He wanted to do a liner for our station. That was his. What? Say that again, Paul. I'm sorry.
Wanted to being the operative words.
Yeah. Actually, we have a little more with Everett from the past week here. Here's a few more of his best clips.
Well, where's the buns and beans? And the coleslaw didn't come down till after everything was out.
Yeah, we had a bit of an issue with Everett over in Lancaster. He's still gainfully employed here, but the filling in for a week didn't quite. The term got cut short.
He's upset about the timing of the coleslaw delivery to the clubhouse. Well, what professional baseball player wants to eat coleslaw after 9 innings of playing
That's
baseball?
Also a valid question,
right,
Fletch?
Get out of here. I don't want to eat it ever, let alone after that.
Well, and he's concerned about our details,
Absolutely, right? Absolutely he was.
Yeah.
Let's just say the food all around at Lancaster wasn't the top notch. We'll just give it that. The best day was the getaway day with pizza.
Well,
so
yeah, it was the first week.
Hey,
so
we'll still extended spring training for everybody,
right.
But it's not York, and it's good to be back.
Yeah.
So Paul Fletcher, pitching coach, our guest here in studio. What do you think of our new digs?
I love it. This is better than my office. I'm gonna just move up here and put my desk in. And
wait a second, your office has a couch in it and a bathroom and a shower. I don't see any of those things in here.
Hey.
No more TV though, right? You don't have TV out there.
I think they're trying to get one hooked up in there for us, but we don't have it yet. No.
I'm in the same part of the process over here. Well, you got to be happy with the start to the season with your pitching staff. Anyway, we went through obviously the offensive struggle for a few games, and knock on wood, hopefully that's turning around on a consistent basis. But the pitching, for the most part, has been a constant, and you've got a lot of guys on that staff too that bring a lot of different things.
Yeah, there's 18 of them down there right now, and I know that's not going to last. But after last year with LaRue and McClendon and Chris Cody leaving us before the break, and then Rami and DePaula after the break, we were left shorthanded in certain senses. So we figured let's bring in some more, get some depth, keep them around, because we know it has a way of working itself out in terms of some guys are going to go to Mexico or Taiwan or organizational ball, and we need some guys around it in shape and ready to go. And what better way to have them than have them here with us and already be comfortable.
Yeah. Tonight's starter, Anthony LaRue, how's he looked to you?
He has been a workhorse. Mm-hmm. He came into camp ready, and nothing changes for him. He's just one of those guys. He goes out and does his job, and he's a fun guy to be around and a good guy to be around, and he just works hard at his craft.
if we went from, I want to say it maybe 65 pitches the first time to 85 the second, what's the natural progression the third time?
Hopefully we can get him up to 100.
Yeah.
And, where we want him to be for the rest of the year. That's about the limit we let him go anyway. So trying to get him up, and this is it. We're going to let you run a little bit and see how it goes and go as far as you can.
Yeah.
What do you think about Rami Lewis so far? I mean, he's a guy who had started as a minor leaguer in the lower levels and when he was a little bit younger, so he knows the process, he knows how to prepare for it, but there still has to be an adjustment, especially when he had been a short guy for so long, because it's not like he was coming from being a middle inning long guy. I mean, he's our all-time saves leader, and now he's still, as you said, building up his pitch count, but he's looked pretty good in back-to-back 5-inning starts.
He has, and that was my main concern with Rami coming into camp was he's used to 20 pitches, and we're going to ask him to run out there for 60 pitches. And how is that going to translate for him, not just in the number of pitches, but coming in the dugout, sitting, going back out to the fields, coming back in and sitting, how that was going to affect his pitching and his mechanics. And he has been outstanding so far. Not a thing has flinched with Rami. And, again, I think that goes back to his professionalism, and he's been around and he's done it all, and he understands it and knows what he needs to do. He's been great. It's been a good start for him too. Two wins, 2 good outings. He's got his pitch count up. I think he almost threw 90 the last outing.
Yeah.
So he's ahead of where we wanted him to be. That's for sure.
Should we throw out the Jeter Ortiz stat for anybody who wasn't listening to the game
I know it's
in the
your
last
favorite
weekend?
one. Yeah.
Rami Lewis as a Toronto Blue Jay all time against David Ortiz. Ortiz 0 for 1 strikeout. Jeter all time against Rami Lewis 0 for 1 ground out.
Outstanding.
If you ever take Rami to an elementary school and bust out those stats, you get a lot of oohs and ahs.
I bet.
So,
I bet.
Just saying, just a footnote there.
Was it in the debut? Because I think his debut was against the Red Sox at Rogers Center. Was it the debut that he struck out Ortiz?
That I would have to double check.
Yeah, but it was a career highlight. He'll come out and tell you that was a big highlight for him.
Oh yeah,
and
no doubt.
Be.
Yep.
Yeah.
What? Here's a question I wanted to ask you, Fletch, and I don't mean this as a negative because we all knew the bats were going to come around. We saw our lineup, we saw guys making loud outs, and then we had a good offensive series against Lancaster, so we knew the bats were going to come around. But when you've got Logan Williamson in your office or you're throwing a bullpen with them, what do you say to a guy who has a .82 in 2 starts and the club has lost both games he's pitched? Now, he's got to be happy with how he's pitched, and he'll trust in his teammates, and they're all in it together. But what do you say in a situation like that? Not just early in the season, but in the course of a season when a guy isn't getting good luck with that.
Whether it's Logan or anybody, and he's pitched outstanding, well enough to win both games. We don't bring it up. We don't even talk about it. We focus on what he needs to do to get better. Hard to say for a guy with an ERA like that, but there's a lot of things Logan came into camp wanting to work on that at the end of last year we noticed and said, hey, we need to adjust these to make you even better than where you are now, and come back into camp and be focused on that. And that's all we focus on when we throw our bullpens is how each one of us can get better, whether it's Logan or Rami or LaRue or Thurm, whoever. There's certain things, hey, that one was good, but we got to get better at these. And that's what we focus on in bullpens. We don't talk about wins and losses as a staff. We know we have certain goals that we want to meet. Starters in below 4 and relievers below 3 as an ERA and as a group. And if we can do that kind of stuff, then we feel we give give the team a chance to win ball games, and that's what we're there to do.
You mentioned having that depth on hand, should you lose a starter at any one point. What are your thoughts on Ian Durham and Matt Neal? Obviously, Durham is a younger guy who wants to transition into being a starter. Neal, coming back from the injury, has been built up, and he's obviously been a starter in the past. Are you fairly confident that those 2 guys will probably be starting for us at the end of the year? Are you confident in what you see from them?
I'm not sure about Durham. I don't know yet with him. We've had some things with him to work on, and there's still a lot to work on as a starter instead of a reliever. So I think for now he'll probably stay in the bullpen. just until we can get more time to work on those type of things. Neil at some point is going to end up back in the rotation. How soon, I don't know. But it's a good thing to have a guy like him there in case one of these guys does get signed and leaves us. So he's right there to fill in and take that spot, and he can give us a spot start in an occasion if there's a weather or doubleheader pops up or something. So I like having them around. I like having a guy like that, but I think for now Durham will probably stay back in the bullpen so we can work on some things with his mechanics and give him a better chance to have success, and just keep Neil working to get back into that rotation.
How do you feel? And we're talking with Revs pitching coach Paul Fletcher live here in our studio. How do you feel about the 6-man rotation and how the guys in particular have responded to it? Do you feel like it's been kind of perfect for early in a season with, we don't have the off days that sometimes a major league rotation has built in early in a season especially? Do you think that that it's worked the way that it's supposed to?
Yeah, well, they like it. Yeah. They get extra days. But they've been good. They responded well to it when they were told about it. Again, it was, we get the extra work. That's fine. It does build in extra days with less off days right now, and gets them a chance to build up and have an extra day of getting out that soreness. A lot of the guys, it's not the day after they pitch, it's 2 days after they pitch where they're sore. Yeah. So they get an extra built-in day before they have to throw another bullpen now and get back on a mound of getting that soreness out and working out and getting some rest on the arm and being ready to go.
Yeah. Getting ready tonight, Revs hosting Southern Maryland. It's a 6:30 first pitch, and we've got Fletch here for a few more minutes in studio. You can come see us through the window. If you're out on Brooks Robinson Plaza on your way in, our studios are right here, right outside the water slide, in fact, here on this swim night here at the stadium.
But you should be in your car driving to the game right now.
Yeah, or they could be out here.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't trying to sell tickets. There's no excuse tonight, man. There's a cool breeze blowing. It's in the low 80s. Ex-Pogo's in the house. Crazy Pogo backflips on the field. Anthony LaRue, York County native, is pitching tonight. Wink, nod.
You sold me.
Yeah, you on board? It's all right. I'm done.
I saw the ex-Pogo guys out working out earlier today.
Oh, it's the real deal.
Crazy.
It's the real deal.
Yeah. It's I hope they land every time. But they do.
They did last year in the rain. It's not going to rain tonight.
Yeah. Well, Fletch, I mentioned that we would bring up the Lancaster series and a tremendous week over there. And from your standpoint, pitching in that park, what's it like? Do you talk about it with the pitchers and change the approach?
Yeah, we tell everyone, make them hit it to left. No pulling. We know Butch is going to have a lineup full of left-handed hitters stacked at the top. Some guys, Galen and Cooper, that are just excellent hitters, and you have to be so careful with those guys, especially in that ballpark. And let's see what we can do to get them to either roll over it or hit it to left. And we got lucky this weekend, and we did that, and guys did the job of executing what we wanted them to and made the pitches when we needed to make the pitches. The bullpen did unbelievable this weekend. Yeah. They came in and just, when it was time to shut it down, they shut it down. And we got 5 innings out of each starter. Perfect for this time of year.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Southern Maryland, the whole strategy
switch it around.
Right? It's exactly the same. Yeah.
It surprises me. This ball club, when you look at them, I was looking at their roster earlier. There's a lot of left-handed hitters on this team.
Yeah.
And surprises me for the park they have, as you mentioned, with left field there being basically a stone's throw from home plate. This is a ball club too with some power. Ward and Opitz and Hankert, big hitters for them, all with some major league time, I believe, and you just have to be smart with how you pitch this group.
That's why we have the big wall.
Make
it play a little fair. I mean you either get a home run or a Santander single, as we call it in this ballpark. Not a lot of extra base hits to left.
If we didn't have that, it would be just like
it'd be Southern
Maryland.
But we have that because we were built into a tiny footprint of a couple city blocks.
Yeah.
I don't know what Southern Maryland's excuse is. They're in the middle of a wide open field. I don't know why they had to have the short porch, but that place should be the Polo Grounds with all the room they had there. That should be the best pitcher's park in the league.
That's Texas.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
It is where the wind's blowing in.
Right. Similar setup though.
Right.
Sugar Land had all
Absolutely.
that space to build, and boy, did they ever. But in Southern Maryland, they they made it Kitty Land to left field for some reason, despite having a big, wide open space to build in.
Well, talking with Paul Fletcher, and before we let you go, Fletch, I wanted to ask you about some of your work with the facilities in Atlanta, the baseball facilities, and expanding that. And I don't know how much you want to get into at this point, but I know you've got some exciting things going on there. It started with the one facility, which has been great, and you're working on some new stuff too.
Yeah, we I opened one a couple years ago with a good buddy of mine who played some professional ball, and we were coaching some travel teams, and it just got so big. We said, hey, we need a place, and he had a friend that jumped in and helped us get that open. And from there, I was introduced to another gentleman who owns his own company and has a son that plays travel ball. And he said to me, I've got this 45 acres in the county he lived in, which is exactly where I live. Told him he couldn't put houses or put a Walmart or put a grocery store on it. And he asked them what they wanted, and they said more park space, that they were short park space. So he and I sat down and started working about 2 years ago. It's 45 acres. It'll be 6 baseball fields and 2 soccer, lacrosse, football, all AstroTurf, state-of-the-art, as nice as it can be. Facility with an indoor facility, too, that has it's going to have a full practice field indoors. Wow. That's how big the facility will be, and it'll be gorgeous. And not only that, it has a walking trail, green space, picnic area. It's more than just this travel ball program. And it is exactly what I wanted to do other than coach professional guys. And we just wanted to get into it, and we've been working, and finally we got our IRS nonprofit status, and everything just has clicked in the last couple months. We got permits to build, and they're about to start knocking trees down, and we have to raise some money, but it'll be good for kids. It'll be designed for an area that has a lot of minority kids, very diversified area of Atlanta, and we're going to work closely with Major League Baseball and their RBI, which is called Reviving Baseball in the Inner City, and trying to put teams in the Atlanta area right there. And actually, it's only going to be about 10 minutes from the new ballpark that the Braves are building.
Maybe we could set up a home and home with some
Absolutely.
of your kids in the York Young Revs.
Yeah,
they can come up here for 3 days, play on our field. We'll send them down to Atlanta.
Absolutely.
I mean, the York Young Revs, they already travel to as far away as Florida, as west as Ohio. So they already do that level of traveling. So maybe we can get a little home and home action here. Bring his guys to York and vice versa.
I see. No, I think it's set in stone.
It sounds like something we might need to broadcast on WOYK.
Yeah, York sports leader. Yeah. And if I'm ever in the Atlanta area, Fletch, I'm paying you a visit. I want to see it.
And Patterson and Boggs and every other player on our team.
Don't leave them
Well,
out.
I plan on them working with me. So
no, don't
advantage.
Work implies you have to pay them. What you mean is you want them to volunteer. You want volunteer time from them for everything you've done for them, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So is that like, once the season's over, do you dive full into that, or are you able to do a lot from here during the season with that?
I am currently. I spent since I got up here till a couple of days, till that off day, trying to catch up on that. A couple hours a day. I now have a break because of them building permits and starting to build the facility. We're raising the money right now, so I'm trying to set up meetings. It's a couple phone calls a day right now. We're set up for tournaments for next year. When I get back in October, that's when it's going to hit me because we have to put the teams together, start building those relationships with kids and training them, and getting people like Eric Patterson and his brother Corey and Boggs and whoever else is in the area to come in and help us. We've talked with some Braves alum, Greg McMichael, Brad Clont, some guys like that to come in and help us too, and so that we can tie in with the Braves a little bit. Hoping it goes well.
Is Clont's going to be your submariner specialist?
Absolutely. Everyone's got to have one.
Every team has to have one apparently, so you better have a guy that can teach it at the low levels and the youth levels like that.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, Fletch, and thank you for sharing. And maybe some point down the road this season we can kind of catch up on it as it comes together on one of our pre-games. But we appreciate you taking the time out of your pregame, and we'll release you to the hounds back in that clubhouse to go get ready.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the time, guys.
All right. Paul Fletcher, Revs pitching coach, joining us live here in studio on this week's program. We'll take a quick break. Paul and I have much more coming up on Revs Friday Night Live here after this.
Security in life isn't something you just wish for. You build it with a strong financial plan. Start with Northwestern Mutual. Together, we'll design a disciplined and balanced approach to financial security, because reaching your goals is something we both want to work toward. To learn more, contact me, Dan McGarry, at my office on the Square in York. Look for the blue awnings. Who's helping you build your financial future? The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Brews and Skews, presented by York Traditions Bank, is a free admission carnival of food on the Brooks Robinson Plaza, Saturday, May 30th from 1 to 6 p.m. Begin your vacation season with a good time and staycation, packed with food on a stick, craft brew, and Revolution Caliber entertainment. Rockin' bands brought to you by CGA Law Firm play the stage all day. Come with your crew or bring the family to Brews and Skews, a free admission event presented by York Traditions Bank. Visit brewsandskews.com for the latest event info, and we'll see you May 30th.
Everyone can play at Heritage Hills Resort, the region's #1 year-round resort. Only Heritage Hills offers 2 championship golf courses, 2 restaurants, a 60,000 square foot athletic club, mini golf, kids club, laser tag, a full-service spa, and much more. Don't forget to ask about our Passport to Perks program for big savings. Conveniently located just 1 mile off the I-83 Mount Rose exit, bring your friends and family to the Central PA Resort where everyone can play. For more information on Heritage Hills Resort, visit everyonecanplayhh.com today.
Hi, I'm Darrell Henry. Join Scott Geis and me every Monday at 4 for your College Spartan Sports Weekly, right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Each week, we bring you the latest in Spartan sports, featuring guest appearances from coaches and student athletes. York's home teams play on York's home for local sports. Spartan Sports Weekly, Mondays at 4 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. The NCAA Women's Lacrosse Tournament is coming to York this weekend. This Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m., the York College Spartans play host to Union College in an NCAA tournament second-round matchup. Tickets are just $6 for adults and $2 for students. Come out to Kinsley Field for some of the best Division III lacrosse action in the country as the Spartans open their 3rd straight NCAA tournament at home. York College versus Union College this Sunday at 1 p.m. in the NCAA tournament. For more information, visit ycpspartans.com.
This is Bo Vaughn of the York Revolution. Catch the Revs all season right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Here on Revs Friday Night Live. Our thanks to Revs pitching coach Paul Fletcher for joining us. Darrell Henry along with Paul Braverman. We are the only 2 left in studio. Everybody else has things to do. Although I see Logan Williamson walking back from a grocery trip or something. Should I go run and grab him? Bring him in here?
He's probably on his way to make coffee.
Tomorrow's start day.
Yeah,
so.
he's always with the coffee.
Yeah, as am I. But figured on this segment, Paul, we'd take a look back at the first 2 weeks, some of the highlights from the first 2 weeks. There were some games with none, and there were other games with several. So, but when it all shakes out, 6 and 7 coming into play tonight within a game of 500. It's certainly not bad through the first 2 weeks. I'll take it, especially after the 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, I said it in our first segment. Ain't a thing wrong with 500 ball in May. June is, moving day. That's the month where the haves and have-nots separate themselves. And, I think the Revolution, in front of what should be 2 good home crowds, Anthony LaRue and Logan Williamson pitching back-to-back nights here, and then McClendon and Rami to finish that. I think they have an excellent chance to take 3 or 4 in this series, get a split at the absolute worst, I think, and they'll be back over 500, before the middle of May, and then we'll see where they can take it from there.
Well, I guess the name of this segment that would make sense would be Plays of the Week, but we're going to be like every other Friday on this show.
We're a bi-weekly show.
Plays of the 2 weeks, or I don't know what to call it. But
how about let's just call it Darrell Screams.
All right.
Screaming Darrell over successful Revolution plays. That doesn't really roll off the tongue, but see if you can roll that into a promo.
Yeah, I can actually. We start with the Revs 0-1 after opening night. We flash back all the way to April 25th, and our first highlight is Screaming Paul.
And Brandon Jones with runners on the corners, a chance to tie this or possibly give the Revolution the lead. 0 for 1 with a ground out is the lefty Jones. The Revolution left fielder steps in. Second time tonight, Revs have had runners on the corners. They stranded it in the first, but here's Jones. First pitch swinging deep to the right field gap and gone to the lawn section. Brandon Jones with the first Revolution home run of 2015. And the Revolution lead it 3-1 in the bottom of the fourth. A 2-out blast for Jones. And oh my, do I get to lord the fact over Darrell Henry's head all season long that the Revolution's first home run came when he was out of the booth. That is the 1,000th home run, visiting and away, in Santander Stadium history. The 3-run job by Brandon Jones.
Well, I knew what you meant, Paul.
That's tremendous how I screwed up the stat at the end there. It's the 1,000th home run for home and away players at Santander Stadium. You know, and I love, you know, thank you for having the super accurate and detailed boom mic, the field mic. And everybody got to hear how I basically stay 15 seconds behind the action when I'm calling the game. As, you know, you hear the crack of the bat, I'm still yammering away. And I'm like, oh, by the way, the ball is leaving the stadium, and it's the first home run of the 2015 season. I'll try to be on top of the next pitch. So.
I do love our home run goal horn, too. I love the fact that we do that.
Oh,
I mean, being a hockey fan, I love
the real deal.
I love that we throw that in. So that was the big hit, certainly, for the Revs' first win of the year. Josh Judy would pick up his first save. Anthony LaRue getting that victory in win number 1.
And Judy with the pitch, swinging a broken bat grounder to third. Pounds has it, throws to second, game over. And the Revs with their first win of the season. 3-1 is your final here tonight. They pour it out into victory formation. Cannonball Charlie lets it fly. Josh Judy with his first save in a Revs uniform saves it for Anthony LaRue, who makes a strong return to the rotation tonight. And 4 relievers combined for 4 scoreless, including Judy, who picks up the save.
Oh my God! That's Judy!
No, Judy.
I've seen Judy. That's Judy.
Judy has brown eyes. Judy, that's not Judy.
Judy, holy Judy. Judy! Yeah! Judy!
Yes, sir. That's one of our favorites, Paul.
Well, we just lost all of the listeners that we're not forcing to listen to this up in the suite level or elsewhere in the stadium right now. Anybody who's not a Curb Your Enthusiasm watcher perhaps would not have appreciated that, but that's hilarious.
Those who do would love it. So we appealed to it.
That's Judy!
Small part of our listening audience.
Judy has brown eyes!
Well, the Revs would drop 2 of 3 to Long Island, but came back strong hosting Lancaster. And we go back to Monday, April 27th here on our Plays of the Week, or Plays of the 2 weeks, whatever you want to call it.
Screaming Darrell.
That's fine. Big comeback for the Revs in the 8th inning, and they certainly have shown the ability to battle back here early this season. They did it in winning fashion in that game on the 27th.
And Valdez the lead. Jackson the pitch. Swung on and belted. Right center. Galen's not going to get to it. One hops the LED boards. Valdez around third. Patterson heading for 3. He's in with a triple. And Valdez scores to tie it. 3-3 here in the bottom of the 8th. Eric Patterson, his first triple of the year. And deals. And a swing and a rip. Right center base hit. Paniag was first of the year. Perez around third to score. And it's 5-3 York here in the bottom of the 8th. Salvador Paniagua with a BB into right center. And Epley the pitch. Swung on, line to left center field. That's going to get down for a to the gap in left center. It's a 7-3 lead here in the 8th.
Well, Paul, that 5-run 8th inning, part of a 7-3 win in the first War of the Roses game of the year. Certainly one of the most impressive innings of the young season. They had another 5-run inning the other night in Lancaster, but it all started, and you know how Butch Hobson loves to match up, and he went to the side-arming lefty, Zach Jackson, to face Eric Patterson, who absolutely torched it to the LED boards, and they passed the first test of taking a shot like that off the lighting. They worked just fine. And that was the big hit en route to a big win that made them 2-2 through their first 4.
Yes, and that was a good lesson in staying right on top of the pitch there. Crack of the bat, and you were right on top of it. Unlike me, who just dawdles and then notices when he hears ball hit, bat.
Well, I like the stories, though.
Yes.
I do. And I love the visiting and away. But
yeah.
And I love the fact that you rubbed it in my face that I missed the first home run. And
hashtag Darrell's fault.
Yeah. Last year I missed the only inside the park home run.
See, that's exactly right. And so I remembered that, and I knew you would not get the first home run call of the year. I just knew that would happen.
Oh, it's all good. Team effort. So the Revs with that victory, and then would make it 2 in a row for the first time this season on April 28th, again against Lancaster. And again, Brandon Jones had the biggest hit of the night.
And Pounds going again, and this pitch drilled deep to right and gone! Brandon Jones with a rocket of a home run! And look out on the picnic deck! Whoa, what a shot! 2-run home run for Brandon Jones, and the Revs on top early tonight, 2-0 here in the second.
Well, Paul, my first thought on that one, I was just hoping it wasn't at somebody.
Oh, it hit somebody.
Oh, it did?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
You got to watch the game out there.
I didn't know
It's tempting because there's copious amounts of food.
Were they okay?
Yeah, they're okay. But it did clip somebody. But
yeah, it was killed.
Yeah, that was a shot.
Yeah. So the Revs would make it 2 in a row, go above 500 for the first time, and Brandon Jones off to a hot start in that first week. Rami Lewis would get his first win in this game, a 4-2 victory, and Stephen Penny was the one to finish it off.
And now back on. He's ready. The 1-2 swing and a fly ball to center. Boggs chasing it back deep in center. Has room. Game over. Stephen Penny with the save. Boggs had it all the way. And the Revs win and defeat the Barnstormers for the second straight night. 4-2 the final. Rami Lewis a win in his starting debut. And the Revs with their first set of back-to-back wins this season as they climb above 500, 3-2 here on this opening homestand with 1 to go.
All right, so the Revs would then fall in the finale of the opening homestand, but we continue our plays of the week, or Darrell Screaming, as Paul has titled it.
Hey, is this segment just a way to play your demo tape for the Phillies or something?
I was afraid you were going to go there. I'm a little uncomfortable with what we're doing right now, but we should flash back on the 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I can't help
what's the problem? It's a highlight show.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, boy, you've got a long way to go before you develop the proper broadcaster's ego. Like, do you watch the Keith Olbermann show, man? Like that guy that guy can't go a half hour or 22 minutes without mentioning something he's accomplished in his own career.
Yeah, it's a little much for me.
Yeah, you gotta get yourself out there, man.
Well, since you said it, here's 2 more home runs. The Revs would lose on Lancaster's home opening night. But this team has shown some pop here early this season, and in fact near the top of the league in home runs hit. Maybe not predicted on paper by many coming in, but a tight one in Lancaster for their opener on April 30th, and Eric Patterson and Brian Pounds with long balls in that one.
Pitch here is hit deep. Right field, it's got a chance. It's gone. Eric Patterson goes yard. Through the picnic tents in right. It's a 4-4 game here in the 5th inning. Tied once again as Patterson connects on his second of the year. And they're still inquiring as Pounds drives one deep in right center and gone! He clears the fence. Brian Pounds with his first of the year. Bouncing out by the bumper boat ramp. And he goes oppo here at the clip, and the Revs lead again, 5-4 here in the fifth.
Paul, I really don't remember what they were still inquiring about.
We should mention on those, you or I might have a chance to hit a home run to right field in that ballpark. Yeah. So we should mention that those were not pop fly shots to right field by Pounds and Patterson. Those were rockets that would have been out of right field here or just about any park, maybe not Southern Maryland. So they were they were shots. Those were not cheap home runs at all.
Good call. And it was an exciting game over there, but it was a 6-5 loss. And that was game 2 on this 5-game losing streak that the Revs have since put in the rearview mirror. They would go to Somerset the following night, fall 3-1 in their home opener. Then on Saturday night, a real chance at a comeback win. And again, this team showing their ability to battle back. They wouldn't win the game, but got more clutch hitting late in play from Andres Perez in the 8th.
On the stretch. And the pitch. And a ground ball. It is fair! Down the third base line. Into the Revs bullpen. Patterson being sent. It's dropped by Eggleston. No play home. Patterson scores. And we're tied at 2-2 here in the top of the 8th. Andres Perez, the game-tying double.
And one of only a couple highlights on that weekend at Somerset. But this team has shown their ability to battle back, and they did it there, ultimately losing 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th, and then 2-0 the following day. But the big story of the week, definitely the way they bounced back from that and followed being swept with the historic first-ever sweep that they've put together at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Paul, do you want to hear some screaming?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you before you play these 2 highlights, was this a midweek regular season Atlantic League series or the 7th game of the World Series? That's all I wanted. I'll show myself out. Thank you.
That's okay.
Okay.
I got a little wound up, but big rally for the Revs in the 4th inning to put a scoreless streak behind them. Brandon Boggs had the final hit on Tuesday night in that 4th inning rally to go in front 3-1.
On the 1-2 again, and Boggs takes it the other way, a base hit to right. Cooper laid out for it, might have glanced off his glove, but Brandon Boggs with the RBI single, and Cabrera in to score. It's 3-1 York here in the 4th. 4 consecutive 2-out hits.
Yeah, the 4 straight hits, a season first. Then in the 6th inning, the guy that had the biggest night, Luis De La Cruz, who drove in 4 in the game, went yard and padded the Revs' lead and really kind of set the tone there in the middle innings.
Delivers home, and a swing on a well-hit ball deep down the line in left field. It's gone! Luis De La Cruz, a 3-0 green light, and hammers it out of here, down the line in left and onto the lawn. His first home run with the Revs, and it's a 5-1 lead here in the 6th.
Revs would win 6-1 with Rami Lewis improving to 2-0, and Paul, definitely just a midweek Atlantic League game. Definitely. That's all it was.
They're all big games at this level.
Yes. And another big game on Wednesday night following an hour and 19-minute rain delay, and the Revs would use the big inning again, scoring 5 in the 3rd. Brian Pounds with the big hit to cap it.
And the first pitch to him is lined to left field, and that's in for a hit. Patterson in to score. Perez right behind him. It's cut off. He slides in, and it's 5-0 York here in the 3rd. Brian Pounds jumps on the first pitch and ropes a 2-run single to left, and Butch Hobson coming out to get his starter.
Yeah, Revs would win that game 5-3. Therm the win. Bullpen was great. Offense was timely. So we went on to yesterday morning, and this was on 3 hours of sleep for yours truly. But I think that even added to my vigor, Paul. I really wanted that victory. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking at my phone.
That's all right. So I do it too.
I'm a real professional back here.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So in the fourth, we were tied 2-2. Salvador Paniagua would unbreak that.
Stretch, 1-1. And a swing and a fly ball left center. That'll get the job done. Deep in the gap, and Fukaye can't make the play. Both runs are going to score. Paniagua rolls into second with a 2-run double. And he more than gets the job done. He brings both of them home with a shot to the gap. And the Revs lead again, 4-2 here in the fourth.
Part of a 5-2 win and a historic week for the Revs in the neighboring county.
The stretch from DePaula, the 3-1, and a ground ball to second. Patterson there feeds Valdez. The turn, game over. 4-6-3, double play to end it. And the Revs with their first ever series sweep here in Lancaster. 5-2, the final score here today. And they follow up the 5-game skid with a 3-game winning streak. Their first ever series sweep here at the Clip.
All right, there you have it. Our plays from the first 2 weeks. I don't know, Paul, if that segment got a little long. People may have heard enough of me.
We should point out, that would be impossible, but we should point out that if you enjoy the Plays of the Week segment and want to see those highlights live, on YorkRevsTV.com, not only can you watch all of the Revolution home games live on a HD YouTube stream, it's really great. All of the games are archived as well, so you can go through, scroll through, and find all the highlights, clips, pull them off of YouTube, create your own video montage. That would be a hit holiday gift for the Revolution fan in your life, I'm sure. So all of that stuff's at YorkRevsTV.com. And my last highlight of the week is I missed your call to end yesterday's game to complete the sweep because I was giving a tour to a field trip here at the ballpark to some 4th and 5th graders. And because the team was on the road, I took them into the clubhouse. I was able to do that with the team on the road. And as we walked out, one of them goes, "Wow, it's not as gross in there as I thought it would be." So kudos to our clubhouse and baseball operations staff. You got the stamp of approval from a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds who were expecting a gross locker room, and it's delightful. It smells like an English garden in there, and quality tour, worth missing the last 3 outs of the game, but we did complete the sweep without me listening at my desk at least. So.
Well, that might be the biggest highlight of all from the week.
You would think so.
Stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll take our final break here. We'll be back to wrap up this edition of Revs Friday Night Live. We'll transition to our normal pregame shortly thereafter, and some news and stock reports in between to get you caught up on the day's news outside of the sports world. But we'll be back to wrap up this edition of the show here in just a moment.
Where's the buns?
The NCAA Women's Lacrosse Tournament is coming to York this weekend. This Sunday, May 10th at 1 p.m., the York College Spartans play host to Union College in an NCAA tournament second-round matchup. Tickets are just $6 for adults and $2 for students. Come out to Kinsley Field for some of the best Division III lacrosse action in the country as the Spartans open their 3rd straight NCAA tournament at home. York College versus Union College, this Sunday at 1 p.m. in the NCAA tournament. For more information, visit YCPSpartans.com.
Want to learn to skate? Want to suit up and learn how to play some hockey? Come to the coolest place in town, York Ice Arena. Learn to skate programs are now available for all ages, for every skating ability. Kids of all ages will learn how to feel comfortable on ice, how to stand, and perhaps most importantly, how to fall properly. Class levels range from beginner to freestyle, where you'll learn basic jumps, spins, and footwork. Classes are taught by York Ice Arena skating instructors from White Rose Figure Skating Club. No skates? No problem. A skate rental is included in your registration. Or get on the ice for our York Ice Arena hockey programs. York Ice Arena coaches will focus on teaching proper techniques needed for anyone interested in playing hockey. Rental equipment is available for beginning players, both boys and girls. So get on the ice. Learn to skate. Learn to play. Sign up now. Group skating lessons and beginners hockey programs are forming now. Plus, York City residents get a 50% discount. Register today. Go to YorkSkate.com and click on Program Info. York Ice Arena, the coolest place in town.
Only one resort in York County offers golfers 2 excellent courses of challenging and enjoyable golf. Heritage Hills Resort in Springwood Golf will have you and your friends enjoying the challenge and the scenery while testing your skills. Visit us online to select custom golf packages for you and your group and take advantage of all that Heritage Hills Resort has to offer. Everyone can play at Heritage Hills Golf Resort. Visit everyonecanplayhh.com today to see all Heritage Hills has to offer, or go to heritagehillsresort.com.
This is Anthony LaRue of the York Revolution. Catch the Revs all season right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Up this edition of Revs Friday Night Live. We'll do it again in 2 weeks. It's our bi-weekly show, and looking forward to seeing somebody other than the Barnstormers. Southern Maryland coming in tonight, both teams 6-7, and tonight's game is a matchup for sole possession of second place in the division here early on.
Yes, all of that is true, but I have a shout-out that we need to get to.
Yeah?
I couldn't help but notice the promo you were airing for the women's lacrosse NCAA tournament match.
Yes.
Between York College, your alma mater, and Union College, which is in the Albany area in New York. Mm-hmm. My first year of working in pro baseball, when I was an intern in Jamestown in the New York Penn League, I had a roommate who was from Boston who was a student at Union, and he was pretty much a jerk. And I was just so happy when that season was over, not only because the team wasn't any good, but the living situation wasn't good either. So my point is, go Spartans and knock Union out of this tournament, because I'm a tiny, tiny man and I hold grudges. So here on the home of Spartan Sports, first in York, first in sports, WOYK, all that stuff, go Spartans and knock Union out of the NCAA Division III women's lacrosse tournament.
I love it.
See, we began the show apologizing for breaking into Tom Brady watch, and we end with women's lacrosse. We start with the NFL, have scorching hot York Revs takes in between, and then we end on Division III women's lacrosse. Like,
pretty complete platter.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you envisioned when you took over the station.
Heck yeah, it is. I enjoy it. We've converted you into an honorary Spartan fan. So.
I don't know about that.
All right. Well, I was believing while I could, but Paul, good show. I got nothing else. I got to go run over to the booth for the pregame. So.
YorkRevolution.com.
Yes, sir.
Buy tickets on your phone.
There you go. All right. Well, this has been our second edition of Revs Friday Night Live. I want to thank Paul Fletcher, Revs pitching coach, for being our guest live in studio, and thank you to all for listening, whether you're walking up to the ballpark or in your car on the way here or wherever you might be. We'll take a break here. We've got the state news, stock report, weather, national news, all of that coming up to get you caught up on the day outside of the sports world. Believe it or not, there are other things out there. And then we'll be back on for our regular pregame ritual in the next 10 minutes or so as we hop on over to the broadcast booth inside the ballpark. Revs and the Blue Crabs coming up here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
First in York, first in sports. Your only local sports station. The new Sports Radio 1350 WOYK, York, Pennsylvania.